Our story begins where the world ends. Beyond the wall. In the anime world, we call this the Forbidden Zone. Three Rangers of the Night's Watch, the Black Brothers, are tracking wildlings, but they find something much worse. Silence. Look at the visual storytelling here. These aren't just corpses, they're a message. Suddenly, the wind stops. The Rangers are hunted by shadows. This is our first look at the White Walkers, the others. In the show, they are mysterious. In our anime recap, we see them as the ancient calamity returning after 8,000 years. One ranger survives to flee Winterfell, but their desertion is a death sentence. Meet the Starks. In the game, they are the paladins, high honor, low cunning. We see Ned Stark, the Lord of Winterfell, teaching his sons a brutal lesson. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. This defines Ned's entire character arc. He isn't a butcher, he's a man of duty. On their way back, they find a miracle or an omen. A dead direwolf with 6 pups, one for each Stark child. Even the bastard, Jon Snow, gets the ghost of a litter. This is a classic familiar trope in anime. These wolves aren't just pets. They are bound to the souls of the children. But the peace is broken by a raven. The hand of the king is dead. The king is coming to the north. And just like that, the gears of fate begin to turn. Now we jump across the ocean to find the last remnants of a fallen dynasty, the Targaryens. This is Viserys, a man obsessed with a crown he doesn't have, and his sister, Daenerys. Viserys is the classic delusional villain. He sells his sister to a warlord, called Drogo, in exchange for an army of 40,000 Dothraki screamers. Look at Daenerys here. She's terrified, a pawn in her brother's game. But notice the gift she receives at the wedding. 3 petrified dragon eggs. In an anime, these are sleeping artifacts. Everyone thinks they're just stones, but we know better. Back in Winterfell, the king's party has arrived. It's a feast of lies. While the adults drink, young Bran Stark, our resident scout, decides to climb the old first tower. He's looking for a view, but he finds a nightmare. He sees the queen, Cersei, and her brother Jaime Lannister in a compromising position. This is the moment the political thriller turns into a survival game. Jaime catches him. There's no monologue. No, I'll let you go if you promise not to tell. Jaime just looks at him and says, "The things I do for love," and shoves a 10-year-old boy off a tower. Blackout. Episode 2 begins with the breaking of a family. In the anime world, this is the departure arc. The Starks are splitting up, and for some, this is the last time they will ever see each other. The tension is thick, not just because of the journey, but because of the boy lying unconscious in the tower. In the middle of the chaos of a Dothraki wedding, amongst the dust and the blood, comes a moment of pure magic. Ser, the man who brokered this marriage, brings out a heavy cedar chest. In any other anime, this is the moment the protagonist receives their starter weapon. But for Daenerys, it's something much older. Ser opens the lid to reveal 3 large stones. But these aren't just rocks. They are dragon eggs. From the Shadowlands beyond as high. They've been turned to stone by time, thousands of years old, yet they possess a beauty that feels dangerous. Let's look at the stats of these artifacts, because each one represents a future power. The black egg, deep black, like the midnight sea, but with ripples of scarlet. This is the alpha egg. The green egg, emerald green with bronze flecks that shine when the light hits them. The cream egg, pale as bone, streaked with ripples of gold. To everyone else at the wedding, these are just expensive jewelry, pieces of history from a dead age. But watch Daenerys' face. When she touches them, she doesn't feel cold stone, she feels heat. Jon Snow is heading north to the Wall, thinking he's joining an elite order of heroes. Little does he know, he's joining a penal colony of thieves and murderers. The goodbye between Jon and Robb is pure brotherhood, but the goodbye with Ned is haunting. Ned promises to tell Jon about his mother the next time we see each other. Spoiler alert for the new viewers. In this genre, that is a massive death flag. Back at Winterfell, while the men are away, the monsters come out to play. A mysterious assassin enters Bran's room to clean up the Lannisters' mess. This is Catelyn Stark's awakening moment. Catelyn fights off a Valyrian steelblade with her bare hands. Just when it looks like she's done for, Bran's direwolf, Summer, leaps from the shadows. In a classic anime Guardian moment, the wolf tears the assassin's throat out. This confirms it. The direwolves aren't just pets. They're supernatural protectors linked to the Stark survival. Now, let's talk about the moment everyone started hating Joffrey Baratheon. While stopping for a break on the road, Arya is practicing swordplay with a butcher's boy, Micah. Joffrey stumbles upon them and decides to play evil prince. Joffrey draws real steel against a commoner. It's a bullying session until Arya, who has zero chill, hits a prince of the realm with a stick. When Joffrey goes to strike her, Arya's wolf, Nymeria, bites him. This is the social explosion. Joffrey, the future king, is left crying like a baby on the ground. But in Westeros, hurting a royal has a high price. The episode ends with a trial that feels more like an execution. Cersei Lannister wants revenge. Since Nymeria ran away, Cersei demands a different life. Sansa's wolf, Lady. This is the moment the fantasy dies and the political nightmare begins. King Robert is too weak to stop his wife. Ned Stark is forced to kill his daughter's pet to keep the peace. As Ned walks out to the kennel, we see the parallel. Just as he executes the wolf, thousands of miles away, Bran Stark opens his eyes for the first time. The boy who would be king is gone. The three-eyed raven is waking up. After weeks of travel on the King's Road, Ned Stark finally reaches his destination. But this isn't the homecoming he wanted. King's Landing is the capital of the Seven Kingdoms, a sprawling metropolis of 500,000 people. But to Ned's northern nose, it just smells like rot and betrayal. This is the snake pit of our anime story. Ned doesn't even get to change his clothes before he's summoned to the small council. He enters the chambers of the Red Keep, the very place where his father and brother were brutally murdered by the mad King Daenerys Targaryen years ago. You can see the weight on his shoulders. The ghosts of the past are everywhere. He meets the small council, the men who actually run the realm while King Robert drinks and hunts. Varys, the spider. He's the master of whispers. He claims to serve the realm, but his network of little birds, spies, is everywhere. In anime, he's the classic omniscient information broker. Peter Baelish, Littlefinger the master of coin. He grew up with Catelyn Stark and has a hidden grudge against Ned. He's the gambler who plays with everyone's lives. Grand Maester Pycelle, the oldest man in the room, representing the maesters, the scientists and healers of this world. The first thing Ned learns? The crown is in debt. 6 million gold pieces. Half of it is owed to the Lannisters. This is the economic trap. The Lannisters don't just have soldiers. They own the king's debt. Ned is a warrior, but he quickly realizes you can't behead a debt. Now, let's travel thousands of miles north. Jon Snow has finally reached the wall. In his head, he thought the Night's Watch were noble knights, the sentinels of the human race. But the reality hits him like a bucket of ice water. The wall is a 700-foot tall block of ice, and the men guarding it are the dregs of society. Jon is training in the courtyard of Castle Black. He is a level 50 fighter playing in a level 5 zone. He's faster, stronger, and better fed than the other recruits. He beats them senseless, mocking them. He's becoming the arrogant protagonist. But then we have the wisdom moment. Tyrion Lannister, the only man who sees the world for what it truly is, sits Jon down. He tells Jon the truth. These boys aren't his rivals. They are orphans, criminals, and starving peasants who were forced to be here. They didn't have a Lord Father to teach them swordplay. This is the ego death of Jon Snow. He realizes that to be a true leader, he has to stop looking down on them and start lifting them up. He begins to teach them. He shares his food. He becomes the big brother of the Night's Watch. This is the first step in Jon Snow's journey from a bastard of Winterfell to a leader of men. While Jon is learning to be a man at the wall, his sister Arya is struggling to be a lady in the South. She hates it. She hates the dresses, the embroidery, and the fake smiles. Ned Stark, seeing the wolf blood in his youngest daughter, gives her a gift that changes her destiny. Ned hires Syrio Farrell. He's the former First Sword of Braavos. This isn't a standard nightly training session. Syrio doesn't use a heavy broadsword. He uses a wooden practice blade. He teaches her the water dance. Syrio's wisdom, swift as a deer, quiet as a shadow. Fear cuts deeper than swords. In an anime, this would be a high-speed training montage. Syrio pushes her, balances her, and teaches her to see with her ears and feel with her skin. But watch Ned's face in the background. As he watches his daughter laugh and play fight, the sound of the wooden sticks begins to fade. In his mind, he hears the sound of real steel, the sound of the war that killed his family. He knows that he isn't just giving her a hobby. He's giving her the tools to survive the massacre he knows is coming. Finally, we cross the narrow sea to the Dothraki Sea. Daenerys Targaryen is no longer the crying girl we met in Episode 1. She is the Khaleesi. She begins to embrace the culture of the Great Grass Sea. She stands up to her brother Viserys for the first time, realizing that he has no power level, he only has a name. While the politics of King's Landing are drowning in shadow, the sun is rising on a new power in the east. For the first time in her life, Daenerys Targaryen is not looking over her shoulder in fear. She is riding at the head of a khalasar of 40,000 warriors. In an anime, this would be the evolution phase. She isn't just traveling, she is absorbing the DNA of the Dothraki culture. Watch the way she rides. She isn't in a carriage or a litter like a Western princess. She's on horseback, feeling the wind. Suddenly, she feels a connection to the land, a primal instinct. She sees a beautiful clearing and decides she wants a walk. She gives a command. In the Dothraki tongue, she tells her blood riders to stop the procession. Think about the gravity of this. A girl who was sold like a slave just a few weeks ago has just ordered a massive army to halt. And they obey, not because of her Targaryen name, but because they recognize her aura as the Khaleesi. This is her first real taste of absolute authority. But there is a fly in the ointment. Viserys Targaryen. He's riding at the back, fuming. In his mind, he is the true dragon, the rightful king. When he sees the khalasar stop on his sister's whim, his fragile ego shatters. He charges forward, his face red with a beta male rage. Viserys is gasping in the dirt. He looks like a pathetic dog on a leash. Ricardo looks to his Khaleesi, asking if he should kill the Beggar King. This is the ultimate choice moment. Viserys is crying now, realizing that his golden blood means nothing here. He has zero combat power and zero respect. Daenerys stands over him. She could have him executed right there. But she chooses a different kind of power. She tells Ricardo to let him go, but she makes him walk. She takes away his horse, the ultimate symbol of status in Dothraki culture. In this moment, the hierarchy is flipped. She is the dragon. He is just a man in the dust. After the high-octane confrontation with her brother in the Great Grass Sea, Daenerys retreats to her tent. In the world of Game of Thrones, a tent isn't just a shelter. For the Dothraki, it is a mobile palace. But for Dany, this is her inner sanctum. This is where she sheds the dust of the road and the last remnants of her brother's influence. As she enters, we see her 3 handmaidens, her core team. Irri and Jiki, Dothraki girls who teach her the language and the ways of the Horse Lords. Doria, the blonde girl from Lys, a former slave who knows the arts of pleasure and the secrets of the world. In our anime breakdown, these aren't just servants. They are her skill trainers. They are the ones who will give her the social stats she needs to rule as a Khaleesi. Now, pay close attention to this next scene. It's one of the most important genetic clues in the entire first season. Her handmaidens prepare a bath. The water is so hot it's literally steaming. Any normal human would suffer second-degree burns instantly. One of the slaves warns her, "It's too hot, Khaleesi." But Daenerys doesn't hesitate. She steps into the water. The camera focuses on her skin. It doesn't turn red, it doesn't blister. She looks relaxed, almost as if the fire in the water is waking something up inside her. Voiceover analysis. This is a passive ability of the Targaryen bloodline. While they aren't 100% fireproof, that's a common misconception. True dragons have an incredibly high tolerance for heat. While the rest of the world is freezing in the coming winter, the dragon is at home in the flame. This scene is the subtle setup for the massive level up we will see in the Season 1 finale. While she's being washed, her eyes stay fixed on the cedar chest, the dragon eggs. She reaches out and touches them. In the anime version, we see a spiritual connection line between her and the stone. She's starting to realize that her brother was wrong. He wasn't the dragon. She is. She begins to ask Doria about where dragons came from. This is a great moment for some world lore. The legend. Doria tells her a story that there were once 2 moons in the sky. One moon wandered too close to the sun and cracked open like an egg, and 1,000,000 dragons poured out to drink the fire of the sun. The symbolism. This story is beautiful, but it also mirrors Dany's journey. She is the moon that has been cracked open by the sun, called Drogo, and from that pain, her power is being born. Dany realizes that if she wants to be a queen, she cannot be a silent passenger in her marriage. She asks Doria to teach her how to please the call. In our recap, we call this the diplomacy upgrade. She isn't just learning to be a wife. She is learning how to turn her husband, the most powerful warlord on earth, into her greatest ally. Doria tells her, to a call, a woman is like a horse. But you're not a horse. You are Khaleesi. This changes Dany's entire mindset. The next time we see her with Drogo, the power dynamic has shifted. She isn't looking at the ground anymore. She looks him in the eye. The dragon has learned to lead. We open back in the capital. If Episode 3 was about Ned Stark realizing he was in a snake pit, Episode 4 is about him trying to solve a murder. He's investigating the death of Jon Arryn, the previous hand. In our anime recap, Ned has officially entered detective mode. He's not looking for a fight. He's looking for a reason. Ned meets with Grand Maester Pycelle. He's looking for Jon Arryn's final words. Pycelle, acting like a senile old man, but we know better, tells him the words were, "The seed is strong." Voiceover analysis. Keep those words in mind, Genetic Recaps fans. This is the ultimate genetic clue. Ned receives a massive, dusty book, the lineage and histories of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms. This book is the most boring-looking legendary item in history, but it contains the secret that will destroy the monarchy. Ned starts tracking down Robert Baratheon's bastards, children the king fathered with commoners. He finds a blacksmith's apprentice named Gendry. The genetic clue: Gendry has thick, coal-black hair, just like the king, just like every Baratheon for 300 years. Ned looks at Gendry, then thinks of the blonde-haired Joffrey, and the gears finally start to turn. Back inside the sanctuary of her tent, the steam from the hot bath has cleared, but the atmosphere has changed. Daenerys has been feeling different. In our anime breakdown, we see this as the internal calibration. Her body is changing to accommodate a power that hasn't been seen in generations. She isn't just a Khaleesi anymore. She is a vessel for the future of two great civilizations. Irri places a hand on Dany's stomach. In a typical anime, this would be the moment the old sage senses the massive mana pool inside the hero. Irri whispers the words that change the world. "You are with child, Khaleesi." Daenerys freezes. You can see the genetic shock in her eyes. For a long time, she was told she was nothing. Her brother treated her like a tool to be sold. But now, she realized she has something Viserys will never have: the power to create. She asks Irri, "How do you know?" Irri responds, "I know Khaleesi. It is a boy." Voiceover analysis. This is a prophetic moment. In Dothraki culture, a male heir to a call is everything. This baby isn't just a child. He is the stallion who mounts the world, the one who will lead the Dothraki to the ends of the earth. Daenerys realizes her value has just tripled. She isn't just a wife. She is the mother of the future. Now we go back to the north. Bran Stark is awake, but he can't walk. He's a cripple in a world that only respects warriors. To pass the time, he listens to Old Nan. This is arguably the most important lore dump in the entire series. Pay attention, because this is the backstory of the final boss. Old Nan tells him about the Long Night. The story: thousands of years ago, a winter came that lasted a generation. Kings froze to death in their castles. Mothers smothered their babies to keep them from starving. The enemy. This is when the White Walkers first appeared. They rode giant ice spiders and horses made of bone. They led an army of the dead, the Whites. In an anime recap, this is the Calamity myth. Most people think it a fairy tale, but we know the White Walkers from Episode 1 are real. This scene sets the stakes for the entire 8 seasons. The game for the throne is a joke compared to the Great War coming from the north. While the High Lords in the south are playing with golden coins and silken lies, we return to the edge of the world. The Wall, a massive structure of ice that separates civilization from extinction. But inside the gates of Castle Black, a new recruit is arriving, and he is unlike anyone the Night's Watch has ever seen. The heavy iron gates groan open. A wagon rolls in, and from it steps a young man who looks like he belongs in a bakery, not a battlefield. This is Samwell Tarly. In our anime breakdown, Sam is the fish out of water. He is overweight, he is sweating despite the sub-zero temperatures, and his eyes are wide with a level 1 terror. Look at the faces of the other recruits. They are rapists, thieves, and murderers. To them, Sam isn't a brother, he's soft meat. He represents everything they hate, the highborn life they were never allowed to have. The atmosphere instantly turns predatory. Enter Ser Alliser Thorne. In the world of Game of Thrones, there are no kind mentors. Alliser is a man whose heart has been frozen solid by years of service. He looks at Sam and sees a liability. He decides to break him immediately. He gives Sam a name that will haunt him, Lord Piggy. The training session begins. It's not a lesson, it's a massacre. Alliser orders the recruits to attack Sam. Sam doesn't even draw his sword. He just drops to the ground, covers his head, and cries, "I yield." Voiceover analysis. This is a crucial moment for our genetic recaps theme. Alliser Thorne screams at the boys. You think this is a game? When the winter comes, the White Walkers won't care if you yield. He wants them to be monsters because only monsters can survive the North. But Jon Snow is watching. Jon sees the genetic tragedy here. Sam is highborn, yet he is lower than the lowest criminal because he lacks the warrior gene the North demands. Alliser Thorne tells the recruits to keep hitting him. But then, the main character intervenes. Jon Snow steps between the bullies and the boy in the mud. He doesn't just use his sword, he uses his aura. He tells the others to stop. When they don't listen, Jon shows them why he's the top-ranked fighter in the yard. Jon and his friends, PYP and Gren, form a human wall around Sam. Jon looks Ser Alliser in the eye, a direct challenge to authority. Later that night, Jon goes even further. He sends his dire wolf, Ghost, to visit the recruits who were planning to beat Sam in his sleep. Imagine the anime visual, a giant white wolf with red eyes, standing over a bully's bed, silent as death. Jon Snow is learning a new skill tree, leadership. He realizes that a true king or commander doesn't just lead the strong, he protects the weak. He tells the boys, Sam is no different than us. He's a brother now. Why is a highborn son of House Tarly at the wall? This is the most heartbreaking genetic story in Season 1. Sam tells Jon the truth about his father, Lord Randyll Tarly. Randyll is one of the greatest generals in Westeros. He wanted a son who was a gut-style warrior. Instead, he got Sam, a boy who loves books, music, and soft things. On Sam's 18th birthday, his father told him, "You are not my heir. If you don't head north and join the Night's Watch, I will take you on a hunt tomorrow, and your horse will have an accident. I will not let you inherit the family sword." Heartsbane. Voiceover analysis. Think about that. Sam was given a choice, the wall or death. His own father would rather kill him than have a non-warrior as a son. This adds 10 layers of depth to Sam's character. He isn't lazy or stupid. He is a survivor of a brutal family legacy. Jon Snow, the bastard, realizes that Sam, the Lord, is just as much of an outcast as he is. Their bond is officially sealed. We end the episode with a demonstration of pure, terrifying power. The Tournament of the Hand. We see Gregor Clegane, the Mountain. The Mountain loses a joust and gets so angry he beheads his own horse with one swing of a giant sword. He tries to kill the knight who beat him, but his brother, the Hound, steps in. The two giants clash until the king orders them to stop. This introduces the Clegane Bowl rivalry, a blood feud between two brothers that is pure anime gold. It's Sandor Clegane, the Hound, the Mountain's younger brother. This is the kaiju battle we've been waiting for. Brother versus brother. Detailed breakdown. This isn't a knightly duel. It's a brawl between titans. The Hound isn't trying to kill his brother. He's just trying to stop him, parrying blows that would cut a normal man in half. The lore deep dive. Why do they hate each other? We learned earlier that when they were kids, Gregor caught Sandor playing with one of his toys and shoved Sandor's face into a burning brazier. That's where the scars come from. That's why the Hound is terrified of fire. This fight is 20 years of trauma exploding in the middle of an arena. King Robert has to scream, "Stop this madness," just to end it. While the gladiators fight in the capital, the real war starts in a dusty and hundreds of miles away. Catelyn Stark and Tyrion Lannister cross paths by sheer coincidence at the inn at the crossroads. Tyrion, the smartest man in the room, walks in, makes a joke, and orders a room. He thinks his name protects him. But Catelyn Stark is done playing nice. She stands up. In an anime, this is the moment the tactician reveals her trap card. She doesn't attack him herself. She calls out to the room. She identifies the banners of the men sitting there. Men whose families are loyal to House Tully, her family, and House Stark. The dialogue. I call upon you to seize this man, in the name of King Robert and the Lords of the North. Do you see the brilliance? She turns a room full of strangers into her own personal army in 10 seconds. Every sword in the room is suddenly pointed at the imp Tyrion's gold, and his wit can't save him now. He is captured. The wolf has bitten the lion. News travels fast. When Jaime Lannister hears his little brother has been kidnapped, he doesn't send a raven. He sends a message in blood. He tracks Ned Stark down outside of Littlefinger's brothel. Detailed breakdown, the climax, this is it. The moment the two main factions finally clash. Ned Stark versus Jaime Lannister. The Honorable Paladin versus the Golden Swordsman. The dialogue. Jaime is smug, arrogant. He tells Ned, I'm looking for my brother. You remember him, don't you? Small fellow, has a wit? Did you see him on the road? The slaughter. Jaime doesn't want to fight Ned yet. It's too clean. He orders his red-cloaked guards to slaughter Ned's men. We watch Jory Castle, the captain of Ned's guard, a man we've known since episode 1, get a dagger through the eye. Then the duel begins. Ned is holding his own against the greatest swordsman in the realm. It's an epic clash of skill. But this is Game of Thrones, not a fair fight. One of Jaime's guards gets impatient. He drives a spear through the back of Ned's leg. The ending shot. Ned collapses in the mud, screaming in pain. His men are dead. He is crippled. Jaime rides away, leaving the hand of the king bleeding in the dirt. The wolf has been completely outplayed. Ned Stark wakes up in a fever dream. His leg is shattered, his men are dead, and the king, his best friend, is standing over him with a look of disappointment. In an anime, this is the low point. The hero is physically debuffed, and his allies are turning into obstacles. Detailed breakdown. Robert Baratheon is tired. He's tired of the fighting between the Starks and the Lannisters. He orders Ned to make peace with Jaime and Cersei. The dialogue. Robert gives Ned back the Hand of the King badge and tells him, I'm a king. I'm not supposed to be this miserable. The power shift. Robert leaves to go hunting, leaving Ned in charge of the Iron Throne. This is a fatal mistake. While the king is away, the wolf is going to try and fix a broken world, and the Lannisters are going to make sure he pays for it in blood. Now we go back to the Eyrie. Tyrion Lannister is a prisoner in the Sky Cells. Imagine a prison with only 3 walls. The 4th wall is just a 6,000-foot drop into the clouds. In our anime breakdown, this is a S-tier psychological trap. You can't sleep because if you roll over, you die. Detailed breakdown. Tyrion doesn't have a sword, so he uses his highest stat, intelligence. He bribes the guard, Mord, not with money he has, but with the promise of Lannister gold. The confession. Tyrion demands a trial. He stands before the mad Lysa Arryn and confesses to his crimes. But instead of confessing to murder, he lists every time he's ever done something embarrassing in his life. It's a classic trickster move. He knows the crowd is laughing, and a laughing crowd is harder to execute. He demands a trial by combat. Lysa Arryn chooses Ser Vardis Egen, a knight in full plate armor. Tyrion has nobody until a mercenary named Bronn steps forward. This is the first time we see the new meta of Westeros combat. Detailed breakdown. Ser Vardis is the old-school knight. He fights with honor. Bronn is the new-school survivor. The choreography. Bronn doesn't even draw his sword at first. He just dances. He lets Vardis swing a 40-pound sword until the knight is gasping for air. Bronn uses the environment. He hides behind pillars. He trips him. The finish. When Vardis is exhausted, Bronn strikes. He drives his blade through the gaps in the armor. He shoves the knight through the moon door, the hole in the floor that leads to the abyss. The lesson. Lysa Arryn screams, "You do not fight with honor." Bronn looks down at the 6,000-foot drop and says no, but he did. Voiceover analysis. This is a major theme for genetic recaps. The honor gene is becoming a weakness. To survive this anime, you have to be dirty, fast, and smart. The stage is set. We are in the high hall of the Arryns. In the middle of the floor is the moon door, a literal hole into the abyss. Lysa Arryn wants blood. She chooses Ser Vardis, the captain of her guard. The stat check, Ser Vardis is the classic tank. He's encased in heavy plate armor from head to toe. He's carrying a massive shield and a mastercrafted sword. His honor stat is maxed out, but his speed is at a massive disadvantage. Detailed breakdown. Tyrion looks for a champion. He asks his brother Jaime, but Jaime is hundreds of miles away. Just as the executioner readies his axe, a shadow moves. Bronn, the sellsword, steps forward. The stat check, Bronn, he's a scout/mercenary. He wears light leather, he's dirty, and he's carrying a plain, chipped sword. The lords and ladies of the Vale laugh. They think this is a joke. They don't realize they're looking at the most dangerous, practical fighter in Westeros. The stage is set. We are in the high hall of the Arryns. In the middle of the floor is the moon door, a literal hole into the abyss. Lysa Arryn wants blood. She chooses Ser Vardis, the captain of her guard. The stat check, Ser Vardis is the classic tank. He's encased in heavy plate armor from head to toe. He's carrying a massive shield and a mastercrafted sword. His honor stat is maxed out, but his speed is at a massive disadvantage. Detailed breakdown. Tyrion looks for a champion. He asks his brother Jaime, but Jaime is hundreds of miles away. Just as the executioner readies his axe, a shadow moves. Bronn, the sellsword, steps forward. The stat check, Bronn, he's a scout/mercenary. He wears light leather, he's dirty, and he's carrying a plain, chipped sword. The lords and ladies of the Vale laugh. They think this is a joke. They don't realize they're looking at the most dangerous, practical fighter in Westeros. It happens. Ser Vardis is gasping for air. His shield arm is heavy. He's slow. Bronn realizes the boss is in a stunned state. Bronn stops running. He strikes like a cobra. The choreography. Bronn doesn't try to cut through the armor. You can't. He stabs at the joints. He slices the back of Vardis' leg. The giant falls to his knees. Detailed breakdown. The room goes silent. The mercenary has the High Knight at his mercy. Bronn shoves the knight toward the moon door. With one final, brutal kick, he sends Ser Vardis out of the hall and into the 6,000-foot drop. Voiceover analysis. Watch the reaction of the High Lords. They are disgusted. To them, Bronn is a cheater. Lysa Arryn, you do not fight with honor. Asterisk Bronn, looking down at the abyss, no, but he did. This line is the soul of the series. Honor is a beautiful story, but in the Game of Thrones, only the winners get to tell stories. The law of the land is absolute. Tyrion is found innocent in the eyes of the gods. But Lysa Arryn is a sore loser. She orders them to leave through the bloody gate, knowing they will have to walk through the mountains filled with savage hill tribes. Detailed breakdown. This is where the dynamic duo is born. Tyrion and Bronn, the brains and the blade. They have no horses, no money, and an entire mountain range of enemies. But as they walk out of the Eyrie, Tyrion gives Bronn a look of respect. He's found his shadow, and the Lannisters are officially back in the game. Back in King's Landing, Ned is sitting on the Iron Throne. Villagers from the Riverland arrive, claiming that a giant man, the Mountain, is burning their crops and killing their families. Ned knows this is a Lannister trap, but he does the main character thing anyway. Detailed breakdown. Ned doesn't just send a message. He strips Gregor Clegane of all his lands and titles. He sentences a Lannister bannerman to death. This is the point of no return. By doing this, Ned has officially declared war on the richest family in the world while the king is away hunting. The music here should be deep and foreboding. The drums of war are finally starting. We end in the east. V's Dothrak. Daenerys has just completed the heart-eating ritual. She ate a raw stallion's heart in front of the priestesses to prove her child is the stallion who mounts the world. She's a goddess now, but her brother, Viserys, has reached his breaking point. Detailed breakdown. Viserys is drunk. He's pathetic. He walks into the sacred feast with a sword, a death sentence in this city. He points it at Dany's stomach, threatening the unborn heir. The final interaction, Khal Drogo speaks. He tells Viserys, I will give you the golden crown that men shall tremble to behold. Asterisk the execution. Drogo melts down his golden belt in a cooking pot. Two Dothraki warriors hold Viserys down. Viserys finally realizes this isn't a game. He screams for his sister to save him, but Dany just watches with dragon eyes. The sound of gold. Drogo pours the molten gold over Viserys' head. There is no music, just the sizzle of skin and the clink of the gold hitting the floor. The iconic line, Daenerys looks at the body and says, "He was no dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon." Voiceover analysis. Viserys is deleted from the show. The fake dragon is gone, and the real dragon has officially taken his place. Daenerys' power level just hit the ceiling. And that brings us to the end of the beginning. In just 6 episodes, the game has changed. The fake dragon Viserys is dead, crowned in molten gold. Tyrion Lannister has cheated death in the sky. And back in King's Landing, Ned Stark has just declared war on the most dangerous man in Westeros, Gregor Clegane. The lion and the wolf are no longer growling. They are biting. But as the lords play their games, the shadows in the north are growing longer. Winter is no longer coming. It's almost here. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the genetic recaps of Westeros, hit that subscribe button right now. In Part 2, we are covering the final 4 episodes of Season 1, including the betrayal that changed TV history and the birth of the true dragons. You don't want to miss the climax.